Hey everyone, and welcome to episode 14 of Constellation Research TV. As always, I am here with my partner in crime, my long-distant cousin, Holger Mueller.
Hey Liz, how are you? Can't believe it's number 14 already. Time is flying when you're having fun.
We have tortured the nice people of the interwebs for 7 episodes of this, and they have come back for more. But we got news, events, and all things that we track here at Constellation Research. So Holger, let's get right to it. What's going on in your world? What happened? Windows 11 had a big drop last week.
Yeah, so Windows 11 was probably the biggest anticipated event, which probably went away with like, oh, that's it, right? So for me personally, the most exciting thing is that you now have Snaplets, where you can not just put 2 screens up on a screen, because screens are getting bigger. Why would you only put 2? No, you can have your own cookie cutter framework, which my resident future of work expert, former Constellation analyst Alan Lepofsky, says there's third-party software for that already, which he tweeted out if you're interested about this. But I was always dreaming at night that I could move like 4 windows to each corner of the screen maybe, and then I would have like a 4-factor, or how's it called, trifecta, quadrifactor? What is it, 4-factor or quadrifactor? You know what I mean.
I don't know. All I know is still no Clippy. Like Clippy hasn't come back, so I don't.
Clippy's not coming back. But lots of security stuff, right? Everybody has to buy new hardware. Yep. Everybody's going to be happy to have a security chip in Windows. Everything's going to be much, much safer. And supposedly it's not going to cost us anything. We'll see when we get.
Well, the nice thing is that, you know, it's once again with the Windows rollout and with the announcements, they're definitely showing that they are reusing and spreading a lot of that goodness from their technology, right? So you learn a lot of hardware skills, a lot of security skills coming out of their gaming groups, out of Xbox, a lot of the chips they're coming out with, and they're saying, hey, listen, let's take the lessons learned there, apply it over in Windows, and make sure that's part of the foundation. I think it's a pretty smart move.
And Teams, or is it Skype? We don't really know, right? It's going to be part of the operating system. What a great idea, right? So, yeah, so all the things will be synced. You don't have to have separate audio settings and so on, which is like.
I feel like this is a weird segue to something about an Apple tax, but I'm going to take it. I'm just going to.
No, we're not going to diss Apple today.
I love it.
But the biggest problem I have, like I'm on record for this published blog post, right? I think the biggest mistake Satya Nadella has so far done is that since Terry Myerson left, there's no head of Windows. You have an 800 million plus platform which doesn't have a head, right? And that showed with the security issues, enterprise, and so on, the quality issues they've had. I can't believe that Windows doesn't have a head of the franchise, right? And the CPO overall, the gentleman from Cyprus, PP, I think I forgot his name, which is like the overall Microsoft CPO. He usually does the hardware events. He's now doing the Windows event, but I don't think he's really in charge of it. So if Microsoft sees this, who's in charge of Windows, and I'll gladly update it. But I can't believe that we have such a big platform with nobody really in charge.
We'll have a special episode of CRTV just on that one. What's happening on the acquisition front? I mean, AWS had a nice pickup last week. They picked up Wicker. They picked up Wicker. You know, hey, when you try to go out and try to buy Signal and that doesn't work out, you go buy another, encrypted messaging platform. But I will say, while the headlines really focused in on the pickup of Wicker for its encrypted messaging, and that's a great ad, don't get me wrong, they also do a ton in secure video transfer, secure file transfer. They do a lot in that space, and they've got a really, really solid government following. So I think there's going to be a lot of places where we can see that type of technology and that type of innovation creep up across all of the AWS platform. But, when you start thinking about it, when people are like, why are they doing this? I'm like, Twitch. Like, it was like, oh my God, imagine what can happen on Twitch. This is going to be crazy. But, that's just the first place to roll it out. They've got a great media business across AWS that's looking at that. They've got a great call center business. So I think there's going to be a lot of places where we start to see Wicker becoming, I think, some of the glue that kind of puts some of these work pieces together. What acquisitions got you going last week?
Well, talking about AWS, staying with that first, right? Amazon launched the AWS Bug Bust, right? They're crowdsourcing, finding bugs in their applications. It's an interesting move, something I dreamt of all the time. Surprised nobody has done this before. I'm sure we'll see imitations. But enlisting all the developers out there to finding bugs, document them, give them rewards, kudos, t-shirts, hats, whatever, to motivate them. And, of course, have them use more of Amazon's platform Code Guru. Right, so it's a triple win. I think it's a smart move, and we'll see how well it will engage developers to do that and find them.
Yeah, and it's a smart move, especially when there are a lot of folks that get a little frustrated with how many flags people raise in the world of open source, yet how few people are there to actually go in and make the changes. So I think that having this type of community bounty, I think it's hey, it's something we learned that works in security. Let's see how it works across the rest of development. I think it's going to be interesting. You know, I think the other thing that happened, at least it's shaken up my world, is we have been facing down the cookie apocalypse for about like 2 years now. We've been threatening that like there's this cookie and it's crumbling and we all need to run around like, oh my God, freak out. Google walked that back a little bit. They said, hey, listen, we're gonna hold that off for a couple years. The cynic's view on that, so like the cynic sits on this shoulder most of the time for me. She says, yeah, you know, they kind of both look like the devil, but one's nicer. But the cynic's view on this is like, listen, you went out and made a blog post, and now you're walking it back a little bit. We get it, but the world of the cookie is also a world that Google helped build. And so I think that what they're doing and trying to walk this back and trying to come up with something that is better, that helps both publisher and brand and advertiser and agency, that's a hard hill to climb. And I think they found that out the hard way. And so they made this decision to pull it back a little bit. I think the big news that's going to be heading down the pipe here is that in the face of all of this chaos and turmoil of what were we going to do in a cookieless future, we all kind of figured out what we could go do in a cookieless future. And that was start to rely on first-party data that we could bring to the party to strengthen that first and second-party dynamic, right? Because as our former colleague, Nicole France, would always say, listen, if there's a relationship, the first party is us, the brand, the second party is the customer, right? They're the second party in that relationship and that dynamic. So I think a lot of brands...
And then, Liz, there's the core Google business, because Google is what?
Exactly. Hello, advertising platform and publisher.
Somebody has totally thought through getting rid of all these cookies, what it could mean for advertising, right? So
absolutely, but
we all want to have more meaningful advertising, right?
It's that meaningful relationship, right? And they're the ones that hold the biggest pot of first-party cookie data happens to be Google, right?
On the flip side, I think we're so in the infancy. I mean, I'm getting served ads. I'm not going to mention the device because people think I don't like Apple products. I'm not going to mention it. On the Wi-Fi network of my gym to join my gym.
Right.
So like how, I mean, no VPNs, nothing involved, whatever. Like, would you please, at least not for the people who are on the Wi-Fi network of the gym, serve the gym ads to go there? I mean, why is there no click on this stuff? So, yeah.
But you've hit on exactly the reckoning, and that's what I think the exciting part of this news is, right? There is a reckoning that is going to happen. It's going to sit someplace in between marketing and advertising, because what we have to realize is the utilization of a third-party cookie was so that we could get effective spend. We could actually spend our money more efficiently. It had nothing to do with building a better relationship. And now consumers are like, no, you can build a better relationship, or I'm going to take my wallet elsewhere. So I think we're starting to see that change happen. And, things like the cookie apocalypse, that's just part of it. It's just going to be a sliver, but it's going to mean a whole lot of stuff happening in the world of data. So we will be watching that.
Right, but we can't let people go without the coolest announcement, in my view, for us all working remotely, which was Nvidia's bit-to-bit Cameo AI, right? So a tongue breaker from what it is. But what it really means is, and we're testing it right now, you can tell us fake news or not fake news. Liz, it's really me. I'm really Liz. And all what we've done is take a picture of us and then use the NVIDIA's new platform for this, which is embedded in the NVIDIA collaboration platform, to real-time put their face and look on us, right? So what could possibly go wrong with that, right? So if you have real-time video with somebody's picture.
I mean, we're already so alike as it is, Holger. Do we really need NVIDIA's help to do that? I mean,
no, just to switch it.
Yeah, that's fine.
I mean, I can't speak English like you. You don't have the German accent that
I don't.
Because the voice doesn't get changed. It's just the looks.
It's just the face. And now for next week's nightmare, well, listen, folks, we've got a lot more coming up for you. We got a Q&A with our brand new analyst and our new partner in crime here at Constellation Research. But we've also got a breakdown on what's actually happening in HCM suites from our friend Holger Mueller right there. He's going to give us a bit of insight, and we got a lot more coming up. So stay tuned for episode 14, Constellation Research TV.
Thanks for watching. Hello everybody, it's Holger Müller here, talking to you about something which you have never heard before. because I created the word. And the word is transboarding. As you can figure out, transboarding is made up of two words which have to do with trans. So if you talk about HR, that's of course the transfer, and boarding, which is onboarding, right? So with transboarding, I'm trying to put the push and the focus and the attention of enterprise leaders on the key concept of the transfer. In reality, before the pandemic, transfers would outnumber new hires by 7 to 8. My informal research at the moment, there's no official research because the pandemic isn't over, is that the transfer number will even go from new hires, from new hire 1 to transfers being 9, 10, if not beyond the 10. Why is that the case? That's the case because companies after the pandemic have to reinvent their business, they have to pivot, they have to do things differently. The good news on this whole thing is that internal mobility has been something which is on the heads and minds of HR leaders since probably 2-3 years, and it's being implemented with the vendors, apart from the specialized vendors, but also large suite vendors, probably since a good year. And probably those solutions for internal mobility are getting good enough to make sure that you don't hire a person from the outside where you could have somebody on the inside, which is very, very important from a concept perspective, from a career perspective, from an employee engagement perspective, right? If you could do a job and you didn't even know the job was available, you could have applied for the job, and somebody else gets hired from the outside, and maybe for the enterprise, let's really think about the employee perspective. The internal person was the better person to do the job, terrible. Right? Here's a personal story from my life. I moved to the US about 20 plus years ago, worked for a large software company, look it up on my LinkedIn profile who that was. In 1 week, and this is the .com boom in around 2000, I had the resignation of 2 managers, very good managers, who wanted to have each other's job. So I was thinking, should I figure that out? Could I figure that out? Luckily, in the competitive market, I could save the second one, giving him the first job because the first one had resigned. But had I known that, right, if internal mobility capabilities, desires, career plans of employees would have been available, then I could have figured that out earlier. But what really matters when the moment the company has identified the right internal person to transfer, it all comes back to do this as efficient as possible. And that's where things mostly lack. Right? Because the thinking is, we'll onboard the transferee like a new hire, right? But the new hire you can't usually reach before. They don't bring their own PC. They don't have their history of requirements. They don't have their need on benefits and so on. All of this is available for the existing employee. Right? There's a total different dimension for international transfers, which is kind of like the spreadsheet, do it by hand, whatever solution in international HR, whatever, where people say, but let's focus on the transfers internally in the country. So let's see how they work from a career perspective for those employees who are transferring. Let's see how you can train those employees from career paths, from learning plans before they even do the transfer, because guess what? They can do all their training before, assuming it doesn't take too much time, assuming the manager who lets them go agrees to that, right? There's a few caveats, but all of this can happen before. And it's very, very important for enterprises that the transferee, once in the new job, hits the ground running. Right? With a new hired person, with the onboarding, where it's so important that they get everything right, which is important, of course. Nobody wants a new recruit to have a bad experience. But they will take 3, 6, 12 months to figure out, as we say, where the furniture stands in the new company. Because, hey, it's a new job in a new company, right? No matter how experienced you were, you have to orientate yourself. The transfer you got in place by knowing that person did a great job there, I want them to repeat the great job there. That person has his merits, whatever, I want them to get the next career step for that. So how do you prepare them? How do you have them hit the ground running? Managers of transferees have significantly less understanding for them having productivity issues, understanding issues, know-how issues, and so on. So that's what you help them with: good learning content that's provided, by learning on the job, by transitioning the whole part, not having the hard cut-off date and date, but both managers collaborating really well by saying maybe the person transfers officially 1 month later, but in return, they're going to spend gradually a day, a week, a couple of days per week more with the new team to come up to speed, maybe start attending staff meetings and so on. And there's a whole research area behind transboarding, and that will really help companies what matters: move faster, become more agile, which I call enterprise acceleration. Thanks for watching.
Okay, so we just heard the latest on HCM from Holger, and now we're going to take a little bit of a flashback. We're going to go back to CCE 2020, and we're going to hear about something that's, I think, top of mind for everyone right about now, which is how do we get that innovation engine kick-started up again in this new post-pandemic reality? So here we go. Gavin Heaton and a fork.
Hi, everybody. We're here with Gavin Heaton. He's a co-founder at Disruptors Co. He's also a former Constellation analyst and alum. That's why we brought him back. He's doing some interesting things around innovation. So welcome, Gavin.
Hey, thanks, Ray.
Yeah, it is a crazy hour in Australia. Thank you for being here. And more importantly, I want to talk to you about what does post-pandemic innovation look like? Does it change? Do the way we look at this completely? Do we have to rethink, reframe our approach? What's happening?
It's a great question, and it's on everyone's lips, because what we've found is that everyone thought that they were going to be innovating through 2020, and then it stopped, and they didn't know what to do. And so everything was at sea, and everything stopped very, very quickly. What that's meant is that life has continued, business has continued. Everyone still has targets. Everyone still has product development that needs to take place, but they're now behind the 8 ball. So there's a lot of catch up that needs to be done now, and everyone's now just starting to scramble and figure out what are they going to do, but how do they manage this in this post-pandemic world? How do we do social distancing and design thinking at the same time? How do we bring teams together when we can't be together? All these things are raising really challenging questions for innovators these days.
That's a basic question. What happens to my Post-it notes on my wall, on my design thinking sessions? Like, how does that get rethought? So,
well, yeah, exactly. So we looked at this problem a little while ago, and we were thinking about the logistics part of how do we manage innovation at scale. And it's really difficult to do it at scale when you've got physical artifacts on a wall. So there's been a big shift, obviously, into these digital collaboration spaces, but they don't work the way that we want to work. There's a bit here and there's a bit there and so on. And so what we've actually had to go and do is rethink the way that we integrate the process of innovation within a technology environment so that it supports the process we need to take place, rather than forcing us back into a room somewhere. So that means digital whiteboards. It means a whole bunch of bringing presentations, materials, support materials, collaboration, video conferencing, chat, everything together, similar to what you've experienced here, because everything that we look at with innovation now is actually not product, it's event. And so
what's the shift you're seeing with innovation and budgets as well regarding that? Are people doubling down, they're spending more innovation, or they've been on a pause and they're about to jump in, or there's been a significant cut?
Probably those last two. So when we can't see the future, it's very hard for us to invest in that future. And that means that we need to rethink the way that we look at innovation, what our pipeline looks like, and how we can actually make our way forward into a new space.
Got it. And so you talked about, and you were talking earlier about how the collaboration has changed. We're changing the spaces, right? We're changing kind of how people are reacting. Are there any kind of new tools that you like that's actually changing this, that's actually making a difference in terms of improving that innovation at scale?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, we've been building out a platform called the Airworks because it does what we need to do in the way that we need to do it. But there are a bunch of things out there. We're finding, actually, what I think has been really interesting is we're finding the limitations of the collaboration technologies that we have in place. So the enterprise tech does a great job for the enterprise, but it's not great for bringing outside innovators into your space. So if you're working on a multi-organization project, if you're trying to bring in product designers or developers or innovators from another part of the world, it's almost impossible to get them through your firewall. So finding a neutral third space that allows you to securely collaborate and bring in the right talent, the right time, and the right approaches is the golden egg that we're looking for.
Got it. Now, what happens to the classic hackathon? It's kind of a running joke, but does it go away? Does it get improved? Do we rethink the hackathon?
Well, I think what's been really interesting about this is, and again, everything stopped with hackathons. So we saw, we were seeing like 20 or 30 of these a month, and then suddenly we went to 0. And what we're now starting to see is them edging their way back, but they are being rethought as well. So what is kind of cool about this is you don't have to be in the same place with the same people anymore, because you can use these platforms to really deliver multidisciplinary teams. You can have your hackers, your hipsters, your hustlers, and your humanitarians all in the one digital space, but they can be anywhere. We ran this event for IBM called Code the Curve and UNESCO. So it was about how do we code our way out of the pandemic curve early on. And we had 500 people from all over the world, 25 different countries, about 100 mentors, sort of going from a room that was based on a team in Ghana with mentors from Asia, from Europe, and from the US, all diving in, helping them solve problems. And then the team itself was spread around the world as well. So we had people from Asia, we had a team from Russia, we had everyone sort of working together, and they were able to do it, and they didn't have to be in the same space. So if you're thinking about innovation, you're trying to be creative, then apply that creativity to the mechanisms of the work that you're doing as well.
This is awesome. Hey, thanks for the insights. I know you're going to be around at the speaker's corner for everybody to kind of catch up with you. Thanks so much for being at the event.
No worries. Thanks, Ray.
All right, take care.
Hello, everybody. It's Holger Müller and
Liz Miller.
With our new colleague, Andy Turai, and we have a hazing ceremony for him. In reality, we're just too lazy a little bit to really unleash this to software executives. We have a few volunteers, but we thought we can't just do it to ourselves, which we've done already on a previous episode of Constellation TV. We now have a real test guinea pig person with Andy here, our new colleague, who's covering what, Andy?
So I'm going to be covering some of the AI ML areas. And, so you didn't say my full name. I had a thing in there, a zinger. My name is Andy Turai with an AI. You kind of messed it up for me. Turai with an AI. You kind of messed it up for me. I was going to do that. But speaking of last names, I just realized that I'm on with the Miller time right now.
Oh, yeah. Miller.
Miller time.
Miller, right? Yeah.
Yeah, but it's
even TV series about it.
Right.
You haven't seen the commercial, Miller Time commercial?
Yeah.
It's a Miller Brew commercial.
It's beer, Holger. You'd like it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm from Germany, but I'm from a wine area. I don't like.
But Andy, it's super confusing because we look so much alike. It's the strong cousin resemblance that we got going.
Exactly.
It's fine.
Exactly.
If I would have worn framed glasses, it would be
fine. Yep.
But I'm just wearing these ones. So Salon, the Constellation Research Salon 50 are 50 questions out of 5 buckets, right? The buckets are personal, career, notice the international free, work, wisdom, and hobbies. And how it works is, listen me, I'm going to ask our guest after virtual coin toss, which today I won, so I'm going to get the ask first. And we're going to ask the guest one from one of the buckets. Then the guest can ask each of us one question and can direct it to either of us, right? But only to one of us, because this whole thing has to go down in 5 minutes. 10 questions, 30 seconds, everybody can do the math, right? So this is quick, rapid fire, high adrenaline, fast moving. And I need to hear from you. Do you have any questions, Andy?
Ready to roll?
Or do you have more questions? Are you using any AI for this? Any AI solution for this, or?
He needs AI to answer all the 50 questions.
Oh, AI solutions. I heard it as AI solutions. I'm not a Apple guy, so.
Welcome. Thank you.
I'm not.
Maybe hired somebody reasonable. Okay, I'm going to be easy on my questions for you, Andy.
There you go.
Spring, didn't you, Andy?
Hey, yeah, that's a whole another segment we need to do on.
How did you get that past the biggest Apple fanboy in the company called Ray Wang?
Holger, ask the question.
All right. Are we ready with the timers?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm ready to go.
So my 5-minute timer is starting now. All right, personal question, Andy. What is the most popular dish you can make yourself?
You got to go there, aren't you? Coffee?
Dish is something to eat. Come on.
Well, I claim I make a kick-ass barbecue. My kids agree, but I'm a lousy cook.
What meat is on the barbecue? What meat is on the barbecue?
Chicken, beef, whatever you want. Any barbecue.
Time out. Over to you. Your question.
Okay.
All right. So I'll ask you, because you asked me that question.
Shoot.
What do you consider your biggest achievement in your career and life so far?
In my life so far? Of course, Constellation TV episode number 14, which we are just taping right now. I mean, what else would that be? Right?
There you go.
Right? So very simple. And I even have 4 seconds to spare, which I'm going to give to Liz.
My kid.
Nice. Nice.
You don't give the answer, Liz.
Good answer.
You're burning time. You're like 6 seconds into your question.
Go. Okay, I'm asking. Who gets? I get to ask the next question.
Yes.
We're moving to career, right? Okay, career. Let's do this. What work habit would you like to? Do you wish you could break? Andy.
That I have right now that I need to break? Well, that's for you to find out. I'm not going to tell you.
Oh man. Okay, Andy, you asked.
Right, Andy, your question.
Okay. Okay. Let me ask you, because I see that you're pretty nifty with the
15
words.
seconds.
What's your favorite word to ask? Word to use at the workplace?
Who you asking?
Liz.
5 seconds.
Actually, it's the word I use the most. It's not my favorite word, but it's probably the word I use the most. Actually.
Okay.
Actually, very good one. Because you're 4 seconds into my question that I'm asking Andy, when you retire, what do you want to have achieved? Right back at you, my friend.
Ooh, okay. When I retire, well, I want people to think that, I made some impact in somebody's life, somebody's career, that I made something successful. So, that I achieved something.
Good one. Over to you. Wisdom question for Liz or me.
Okay, so I'll ask you, Holger.
Yeah.
What is the worst career advice you ever received?
You don't have to work on
Constellation.
You don't have to work on Fridays. Work for Constellation. Kind of like a toss-up, but no, you don't have to work on Fridays.
Okay. How did that work out for you?
Well, I learned the hard way to work on Fridays. Oh, you mean the Constellation thing? That can't be done in 30 seconds. Over to Liz, who has to ask Andy something about hobbies.
Okay, I got hobbies. Last question. Here we go. If you could play one professional sport, what would it be?
Okay, so one professional sport, as in, if I could just play,
you're a professional athlete. What is it?
But if I'm a professional athlete, and then that I could do like the best at it, during my younger days, I would say football. Not the soccer kind.
American football.
American football.
Okay. Your question, wisdom. We already burned 7 seconds.
Okay, wisdom. All right. What inspires you, Liz?
What inspires me? Smart people using big words.
Oh my God, that inspires you? That scares the crap out of me.
Good one. No commenting. We don't have time to comment. Last question, we jumped over the work category, right? Oh, you did the work category. Which category are we missing? What did we jump over? Career? We have Personal?
Maybe work.
Yeah. No,
we did work. What the heck? We need a timeout. I asked the person popular dish, right? How did you screw this up, Liz?
I don't know, but let's just make
I'll take one from hobbies. What sparks fear of missing out for you, Andy? One word. We're over time. One word. Quick.
I'm drawing blank.
What sparks fear of missing out for you?
Not answering Holger's question. That's your FOMO moment, isn't it?
Well, not taking enough vacation. Not well. So I mean, if
your turn,
if you act.
No, this is a short format. No, your time. Your question.
Holger, let him answer. Welcome to our company meetings.
Exactly.
Andy, tell us what's FOMO.
We were on track till 4 minutes in, and then we blew it out. It was
my
mistake,
God.
of course. And then, my timer is done. 5 minutes is over, but we still give you the question. I don't know how to turn this off, Satya. Oh, I figured it out. Good. Wasn't intuitive enough. Okay, you can ask us any category, one question to one of us. We give you that as a bonus.
You know what? Honestly, this is the most stressful it has been since I started here.
That's good, but perfect. High five on this because Andy, this is by design, right? We want to make
so here's one.
People tell us the truth.
Here's one. What skill or hobby could you do as a kid well that you forgot as an adult?
That's not
Speak Irish.
Question.
You spoke Irish, and then you forgot about it?
When I was a kid, yeah. And French. I was fluent in Gaelic and French when I was a kid.
You can't do it now? Oh wow. Okay.
All right, I'm going to start a collection for making a trip for Liz to Wales to learn Gaelic, right? That's where they speak it, right?
No, Ireland, ding dong.
All right, Ireland, fine. To Ireland, it's all the same from here, from California. Doesn't matter what it is. And then make sure that she's immersed, because immersion brings back the level of language at any level you've been in your life. After 2-3
When I'm
days,
stuck in France, it all comes back to me. Let me tell you. When I'm stuck in a train and I can't get to Charles de Gaulle, it all comes back real fast.
Right?
Well, hey, Andy, listen, thanks. You've been a great sport. We know we tortured you a little bit on your very first Mueller show, but welcome to the team, buddy. And we're going to have a lot of fun hearing about you and AI and all the things that come from the wide world of everything from observability to, making the machines take over Ray's cloning system.
Yeah, look at the tweet that I put out this morning about the things what I'm going to do. I used almost every single buzzword that I could.
Okay, there we go. I like it.
Here we go.
I'll give you that
Welcome,
one.
Andy. Thanks for playing along. This was our first guinea pig test on the Constellation Analyst of the Constellation Salon 50. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Well, that wraps it. Episode 14, Holger, in the books. We are done. We had a fun time with Andy Hazing, our new colleague. We got through all the news. Thanks for the trends on HCM. That was awesome. But hey, until next time, we are going to see all of you guys back for episode 14. Get ready. We're going to have a lot of news that's going to happen. You have Doug Henschen coming up next, and we're going to have a new mystery host joining Doug. Will it be Andy? Will it be Dion? Will it be Ray? Will it be Steve? Will it be Elle or Hannah? We're not quite sure, but it's still going to be awesome. So until then, everyone, follow us on Twitter, ConstellationR. You can follow me, Liz K. Miller, and you can follow Holger MU. You can also catch him on a Peloton or any fitness app near you. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks for watching.
Oh, wait, hey, Elle, what episode is this? Here we go. We're getting serious.
You have to go on the other side. This is irritating. Switch us, please, Elle.
I can't go over there. What?
No, but would normally go on the left and I'm on the right. Switch us, Elle. Thank you, Elle.
Film this.
Holger, is Switzerland your team, or who's your team? Like, who do you?
No, anybody but the French.
Anyone but the French.
Yeah, so he's like, he was preparing from that time, I guess. So.
Are you ready?
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you just go take those off? I'm super confused about what's going on.
No. I have a second pair.
Down Costco shirt.
Yes! Sweet.
There goes Holger again. Woo!
Sweet. You have to delay this by half an hour. This is going to overtime.
Then you puke. Just
Holger, did you ever play soccer?
No, I'm a civilized person. I touch balls with my hands, so I play volleyball.
Okay, great. That is the best sport, my personal
That's the T-shirt right there. That's the CRTV episode 14 T-shirt.
I only touch
balls with
blooper.
my hands.